I'd like to call this committee of the whole meeting to order at 7 p.m. for January the 16th, 2023. I would also like to recognize that we're in Treaty 5 territory, traditional land of Michiswasuk Cree Nation and homeland to the Métis, and that we are all treaty people. Thank you. Next, I would like to have an approval of the agenda. Deputy Mayor Valentino, Councillor Colburn, all in favor? Carried. Thank you. Next, we have a delegation. We have Don Glenn, alias Shorty, from North Portage North. Would you like to come forward and start your presentation, sir?
Okay.
If you have anybody to bring with you, feel free to.
Oh, that's okay. We brought some people with us, but they're here just for support and just to show that the diversity of the demographics that we have an impact on. So thank you for having me, Mayor Smook, and all councillors. I'm here representing North Portage North. We're establishing a fabrication lab here in Thompson, and we're hoping that it can have a positive impact on our community for a long time to come in the future. So what I'll do is I'm going to speak to what we're all about and what we represent. A little bit, touch briefly on our origins, where we come from. North Portage North is a fabrication lab facility specifically. But North Portage Winnipeg is a corporation, a not-for-profit organization located in Winnipeg. They were developed and actually brought together for a need for support for entrepreneurs specifically. Their catchphrase is they're an entrepreneurial incubator and accelerator. So when you say that in the North, it's a little bit, people kind of smile and nod and walk away from you, but it's big speak for saying that they're basically about supporting and developing small business and helping people start their own small businesses. Here in Thompson, what we're looking to establish is a fabrication lab to present people with opportunities and possibilities to further themselves and to further our community. Whether that ends up being through an entrepreneurial journey where they start their own business and develop into something that we can support through mentorship, access to equipment, and we also have a micro-credential program. North Portage exists to develop the skills. You know what, I'm gonna swerve from my slideshow a little bit just because it's gonna be easier just to talk to people as people. So the main reason that we're here is to present people with opportunities and possibilities to better themselves and to create opportunities for people in the North that they wouldn't have access to the supports to be able to accomplish. We're establishing a space where they can have access to learn skills on various types of equipment, whether that's metalworking, woodworking. We have 3D printers, laser engravers. We have more traditional artistic based skill sets like sewing machines. We have industrial sewing machines that are capable of light leather and canvas work. We've also got fur and leather sewing machines on the way, and a full suite of woodworking equipment as well that will be arriving shortly. The biggest thing is a creative and innovative space for people to come together, collaborate, and exchange knowledge and help to train each other. If you take somebody, a big one for me is the youth. If we can teach them 2 or 3 skill sets, train them on 2 or 3 pieces of equipment, and that helps build in them some self-confidence and self-worth. It makes them more employable. It gives them the opportunity to decide, hey, maybe they do want to start their own business with this new skill set. If they can come in and explore in our facility and find something that they're passionate about, and decide to become a business owner themselves, then more power to them. But it also benefits the community in the aspect of mental health, gives people a place to go, to be creative thinkers, to keep their hands busy. It gives us another place to increase the quality of life in Thompson. If you're not big into sports, or if you're not big into outdoor activities, or you're not able to afford those options, this is another place where somebody could go and have positive interactions with other people, like-minded people. The demographic of people that utilize our facility is right from, I think our youngest member currently is 9 years old. A 9-year-old girl we have who's interested in our t-shirt printer. She does artwork, sketches and drawings, and she wants to put those on t-shirts and try her hand at a small business doing that. To some of our oldest members, I won't mention any names. But Jake is teaching himself how to use the 3D printers and having a blast at it. But at the same time, he brings a knowledge set and a skill set to the table and to that room that nobody else does. So he's able to exchange his knowledge with other people. So there's a great shift in knowledge transfer in that space that's free, right? And it's a positive space for people to feel worthwhile. There's a low risk of failure. There's nobody standing over you with a big stick saying, if you fail, you're done. You know, so it's a positive environment for people to learn and to move forward in their journey. Currently we're at 76 members. And that, like I said, that demographic is broad. It's male, female, old, young, doesn't matter race, doesn't matter creed, doesn't matter physical capabilities. It's across the board. And that is something that I'm proud of, and I hope to keep that way. One of the things we're facing, so our program started through a grant provided by PrairiesCan. It was a partnership between UCN and North Forge. That was how this endeavor started. They attempted to start it in the PAW and it was unsuccessful. So they moved it to Thompson and thought they'd give it a try. And so far like I said, we have 76 members and we just started an expansion into a new space last week. We're currently at 4,000 square feet. So, but one of the challenges we're facing is our grant runs out in March. North Forge has stepped up and said, we believe in what we're doing here and we'd like to keep it going. They've extended our funding till the end of the year. But what we're looking for is support. However, the city could help us to move forward. And I think, you know, the impact can be proven however you look at it. There's so many ways it could have positive impacts on our lives. Several of the counselors have been seen the facility, and it only gets better every time you come in. We have, I think, another round of equipment coming here in the next few weeks. We're doing space upgrades. It's really exciting when people come through the door and I have comments like, I feel like I left the world at the door and it feels so positive in here. You know, so it's things like that. If we can keep, Jake said to me, he said, you know, if we can give a young person somewhere to be and be creative and help fight off boredom, teach them some skills, and we can prevent one stabbing, one mugging, one, whatever the petty crime happens to be, we've been successful at what we're doing. But I'd like to take it further than that. I think we can impact the community in a positive way on a lot more fronts than that. So that's my presentation. And if anybody has any questions, feel free to ask me, but also anytime anybody wants to come by the fabrication lab, it's open for tours anytime. Give me a call.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Valentino.
Thanks for your presentation. You're a breath of fresh air. You want to make a positive part of the community. Great. Can you just touch a little bit on that women's equity lab that's in the presentation here?
Okay, so sorry, I kind of glossed over that,
sorry.
but so we have North Forge is very one of their strongest one of the strongest programs they have going is supporting female entrepreneurs. That's who they believe in. That's one of their main focuses. If you look at our, I sit on a Monday morning meeting with our team, and there's 2 men on the 14-person team. So the upper management at North Ford speaks to what their focus typically is. And so they have this is actually a new program that just came out. It's to help support women female entrepreneurs along their journey. It is also the other aspect that I forgot to mention too to that is the Angel Network, which is kind of like Shark Tank, where we'll actually help entrepreneurs put together a proposal to be successful to investors that are located in Manitoba. So it's Manitoba's version of Shark Tank, essentially.
Can I follow up, Mayor Smith? Thank you. So if I wanted to get something off of that 3D printer, I can go there and I learn to do it, or you do that?
No, you learn to do that. That's the whole point of what we do, is learning through doing.
Okay.
Right, so we'll sit you down, whether it's with one of our members who's proficient in it as well, or I myself will help walk you through the process of making your own part, right? So you develop a skill while you learn, whatever you're doing. We've actually done, we've been doing a lot of that lately, so it's really nice to see because people just light up when they realize what we're capable of. The 3D printers are really cool because people learn without realizing they're learning, especially kids. They learn tool pathing, advanced manufacturing, like XYZ axis and CAD design, and they think they're just making toys, right? You know, so it's really cool what they can learn without even realizing. They're just having fun.
Perfect. I think it's great that a lot of that's SAT government and.
Yeah.
So good on you guys for making it go here in Johnson. It clearly shows that there's a need. So good for you. Congratulations. It's great.
So just to further question on Kathy, so if Deputy Mayor Valentino wants to go in and do this now, does he require a membership? Is there different levels of membership? Is there single membership versus businesses versus corporation?
Okay, so currently we have single membership. Membership is required to use the facility just simply because mostly for liability purposes at this point. It's free at this point. In Winnipeg, they operate it similar to a gym membership, where you purchase a membership, pay a monthly fee, have access to the facility 24/7. Here, it's a little bit different because of the training and the introduction to the equipment feel to it. So we don't have people that are untrained and like there's safety. We have to follow safety policies to get the person to the point where they're safe to operate, especially certain pieces of equipment. We have CNC routers and lathes and mills and all kinds of stuff coming. So that kind of stuff. We are working on a corporate sponsorship package, which we were in March after our grant runs out. In order to help with the sustainability, we may have to implement a membership fee. But we're hoping to keep that as low as possible if we can get community organizations involved in sponsoring members, because I think the people that will impact the most are people that won't be able to afford a monthly fee. And I think that it's important for us as a city to step up and help support those people too. So, yeah.
Thank you. Councilor Lombard.
Thank you. I appreciate the presentation. Thanks for the tour the other day. That incubator, I can see where you could learn so much in there. And I know I wanted to point out, you just finished, I guess, saying that you provide some safety training on all the different equipment. There's so many things that you can learn in your facility, and I appreciate that. And like I said, there's a lot of people looking for something to do. I mean, we have so much outdoor stuff, different sports and things, and this is another route that we could take. Sadly, we still don't have the aquatic center, but there are so many things that we can expose people to at your facility, and appreciate that it's there. Do you have an ask? You're working on corporate sponsorship?
Yeah.
Just looking at where
So we didn't, we obviously have an ask, but We set it, so we need $350,000 a year for operation. That includes maintenance, upgrading, all the operation costs of the facility. But we're not asking that from, obviously, we're not asking for that from the city. What we were hoping is to, if we can get $70,000 from the city or some, like if we can do something through the CDC, like you suggested, or just some way to help us take ownership for what's ours as Thompson, right, too, right? It's, I hate to see things just taking handouts from other cities where we can actually acquire and own what's ours and be proud of what we're creating there too, right? So it'd be great to take that on, but in kind too, also just assistance in general would be helpful in contacts, all that kind of stuff is the type of resources that we were asking for too.
So I think that's important for you moving ahead, you know, to figure out what your asks, what your needs are. I know Prairies Can is really likes the north, and there's very possibility there's more funding through there for your projects and that.
Yeah, I think they were talking to them, yeah, North Fords was talking to them.
Did I have any other councillors, Councillor Wong?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you for your presentation, Shirley. And when I first met you, we have a personal conversation. I know you're very passionate about this. And also, I know this is not an easy way to get to what you want to achieve. It's a long way to go.
Yep.
But I have a question about that plasma cutter table. Have you set up yet? Ready to go?
No, we don't. We don't have it set up yet, but it's the expansion into the next bay. We just acquired that extra 1,500 square feet, so now I have a spot to put it,
So
so.
you just tuck it at the corner there?
Yeah, so in the next bay over, so we've got the CNC router running, so the wood one, that does aluminum, brass, polycarbonate, which is plexiglass, also does wood and has a draw knife for cardboard. That particular one is up and running. We also have a laser engraver that's up and running. But the CNC plasma cutter hasn't arrived yet, but it's part of the expansion into the next day.
And also, I'm kind of happy for you that you have 70 plus member now compared to when we first started, like 0.
Yeah, well, it's to put it in perspective too, Winnipeg's been at this for 10 years plus now. And they, since I've been working for them, have been bouncing between 90 and 97 members. And we opened our membership in September and we're at 76. And so I stopped promoting the membership because with the small space we had before, we were limited in the people we could service. So now that we've done the expansion, but even not asking for memberships, like physically seeking them out, people were constantly coming through the door. And so, yeah, it's been a really positive, like people have really fallen in love with the idea. So I think it's a great thing.
Final comment? Yeah, so I think it is a value to the city of with your addition to here. And I think this just have to wrap around, see what we can, the organization can make it more interesting and people will attend more and learn more. I think it is a value to this community anyway. And thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else? Councillor McIver. Thank you.
Your membership, is that just Thompson?
That's just Thompson, yeah, it's strictly Thompson, it's just Thompson at this point, but I say that, having said that, I don't want to take too much time, but we have interest from several of the outlying communities on doing workshops and bringing busloads of kids in. I was speaking to Nelson House at the new high school. I was there at a career fair. And they bring a busload of kids into the dance studio on Saturdays, and they were talking about filling up the bus with kids that could come to the facility and do a workshop there as well. Split Lake showed interest in that. York Landing showed interest in that. Yeah, that was it for those. But we were talking also with DSFM, the French school, about doing some trade classes there because they have no trade facilities out there. So.
Thank you. Anyone else? Hey, so North Forge, 8 years ago, I happened to be in Winnipeg for a city council, I was at a throne speech. The gentleman sat beside me was from North Forge in Winnipeg. I had a few hours, he toured me through North Forge and I came back with all this information and pamphlets, was so excited that I thought it'd be great for Thompson. I met with a pile of eye rolls. Then the next thing I hear, it's going to the PAW, so I did the eye rolling. And so to see this happening in Thompson, to me, it is just so exciting and I can see it supported from, all different levels of the community. So thanks for the presentation, for you and Rick, keeping us updated, keeping me updated here at the city. Thank you very much, and I'm sure wish you nothing but success.
Thank you.
Because you just add to, skip by one slide earlier, and because it talks about our community members being very hands-on, and there are still people who like to read and study in that, and there's actually a founders program. If you are interested in starting your business, it takes you through like the 4 different levels of starting your own, like if you had a prototype of starting your own business. So there it is, yeah, so like Pat, and I took it and it's actually really good, it actually makes you go onto the streets and do your research. But yeah, so there's that too, the more studious side of it.
Thank you,
Yeah, you're welcome.
appreciate it very much.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody. You can stay for the rest of the council meeting or wherever you wish. Okay, so moving on. We're going to move into community comments and feedback. As for tonight's agenda, it's a fairly large one. Is there anybody that has any comments or feedback on the agenda for tonight? Please state your name and address for the books and we'll go. Second time, any community comments, feedback? Third and final time, any community comments or feedback? Mentioned yet. Thank you. Seeing that, we'll move along. First, we're going to have reports. 6.1 is recreation. Anna?
So before you is the early events that took place in December, Recreation Center. Season 2 is beginning for the ice, so I'm starting to receive the facility request from the organization. We're still continuing to offer skating, public skating on Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays. There's multiple different events that took place. We've had drop-in basketball. We're continuing to advertise for artists to attend, to share their trades with the community. So that's something that's going to be ongoing. We also, for Christmas, the auxiliary fire department attended the TRCP, and they used our little area that we had to take photographs as they were not in the mall this year. That went over quite well. They're actually looking at doing it again next year, but just on a longer basis, I guess, because they only did it a few times this past Christmas. We also hosted a Christmas party for the seniors. Science North, the exhibit continued into November into December. I don't have the stats on the number of people that went through. They are going to provide that to us. So when we do receive that, I'll make sure that that's shared. We also offer free skating of the Christmas sweater skating as a shinny skate. And the Mama We Took Friendship Center also sponsored all the public skating right in through until December 30th, I believe. And we also did fireworks at the Tears of Sea again this year for New Year's. The outdoor rinks are currently open. We have ordered today, we ordered some signage for safe tips on using the ski hill. So that was ordered. So we're hoping that's going to be in the next week or so. And yeah, we also sponsored the Christmas decoration contest for residential and commercial.
Thank you. Questions, comments?
Thanks, Marcia. To the director, can we take this as an opportunity to quickly touch on Winterfest for the public?
Sure, yeah. So Winterfest begins February 24th, 25th, and 26th. We actually, have 16 different, organizations or groups that are actually involved in, Winterfest this year, which is phenomenal. We haven't had that many before, many years, I was told. So, there's a lot of people at the table. So we're expecting a lot of different activities at Winterfest this year.
Thank you.
And if the public wants to get involved and volunteer, they can still do that, or who would they contact?
Yeah, it's actually, we have it posted, so it is advertised, on our social media for the public to contact Darlene.
Okay,
And anybody wants to attend our meetings, the meetings are on Wednesdays at 1:30 at the TRCC. So anybody who wants to attend to partake, or get involved in any meeting, anybody's free to come.
thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, say that the December, seniors party, I come out there, Counselor, Chong, Counselor Wong, helped finance that with me that day. And Counselor Fitzpatrick was there. I think the four of us had a great time there serving the seniors and, being there. So thank you all for everybody that was part of it. The Christmas decorations were very nice up there. I had lots of compliments and that. Thank you very much. I think that's all. Okay, so next we're going for 7.1 recreation and community services. A memo from the license inspector in regards to special event status for Winterfest. Administration.
Yeah, this is something that happens every year, for Winterfest, the exhibitors and individuals that come, whether they're selling something, it's almost like a blanket covering for them, so they don't have to have their own licenses. This is something that we do every year.
Comments? Is everybody in agreement that,
Yeah, so the request is if council or if the committee, the whole approves this bringing forward, we bring it to a resolution at the next meeting of council, so that you would approve us giving that blanket coverage to all the exhibitors.
Any questions? By show of hands, who's in favor of moving it forward? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Okay. Number 8, Public Works. 8.1 is a review of the snow clearing policy and cleanup policy. With Neil or Anthony first?
I'd recommend to let him go through his memo first and then go into it. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so historically, the snow clearing and the cleanup policy would annually be reviewed by the Public Works Committee. During the reviews, there were no amendments made to the policy until September 2020. When we recommended to add a cold weather portion to the policy, which is restricted equipment from being deployed at the ambient temperature reached minus 35 degrees. This helped prevent mechanical breakdowns of our equipment due to the extreme cold weather. So council has requested that the snow clearing and cleanup policy be brought forward to the committee of the whole for review and discussion. The map attached to this policy is outdated or partially cut off, so I suggest maybe that is a portion we do try to get a better map attached to it. And it's recommended the committee of the whole review and discuss the snow clearing cleanup policy. And through this discussion, the committee may have recommendations of amendments that may be brought forward to the city council.
Thank you, Anthony.
Yeah, so this is really the committee of the whole's opportunity to discuss any of the ideas that they have about the policy. If there's anything that they'd like the administration to research or bring back, or if there's any changes that they'd like to consider, it's really your time to debate and discuss these issues.
And I guess a reminder to us that we are in charge of setting the policy. The procedure is basically up to our maintenance people and how they do it. If there's something that we see that needs to be changed, can only be recommendations and then be brought back to us for discussion. Who would like to go first? Councilor Fitzpatrick.
I would, okay, yeah, this has been bugging me for a long time. For 8 years, I've been watching the grader come down at the end of the street, stop 250 feet short of my house and turn around and go back up the road. And I didn't understand why until actually got a look at the policy and I seen it. My street isn't even on the map. Which I don't understand why, but I mean, okay, it's all being said, but we got time to correct it. Also, I would like the map to be updated ASAP, if that's possible, sure it is, and I would like the Camel Road to be slated as a second priority street because it is a feeder for all the other streets down at the bottom of this hill, and every time it snows, we gotta plow our way to the top of the hill. So it's no different than Wacusco. And thank you for pointing out that the map is updated. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Brown.
Thanks, Brisbane. Is there any way that we can look at I don't know if it falls into this, but the commercial snow removal? Because sometimes like the intersections, like if a business is having their own snow cleared, like it stops the vision or us being able to see, but it's not our snow, I guess, because we didn't clear it. Is there anything that other communities do or that they have where you have to have the businesses like remove their snow? You know what I'm saying? Like even, like, let's say in the plaza, they put it all in the middle of that parking lot there by McDonald's. And then it becomes a safety hazard, I think, as the more snow piles there. But then in the spring, it melts and it's garbage and then everybody complains that the city's dirty. So is there anything that we can do in our policy to have that commercial snow removal put in? I don't know, that's something that I was thinking about. My own comment.
And I'll ask the director to jump in, but I think, in terms of the policy, that'll regulate how we're doing our own internal work.
Great,
But in terms of if it's looking to how it's done throughout the city by others, we would have to do some research on any bylaws that would make that might actually fall under property standards. But we'd have to look into how that is regulated in other communities. I'm not sure if there's something from the directors that might have some input on that. Okay, so that's something that we could probably take away. Have a look at how other communities are regulating those sorts of issues.
I didn't mean to pick on the plaza, I just was using that as an example.
Councilor McIver. I was talking about the piling of the snow and everything in every parking lot and that, but the other concern too is when there's snow clearing on the main drags and that, and then it's where it's 10 feet high enough, but it's where they should actually, while they're cleaning, it's to clear the corners, instead of people coming to us and say, we can't see, we almost got hit at this corner because it's too high, and I get 20 people telling me that this corner, now, because we can't see in that, and it's where one of them actually where the police drones were coming out and she couldn't see them coming and she went out and she also got hit by the police because of the high piling of the snow on corners. Those should be pushed back, and then like you say with the parking lot, it's dirty in the spring, and like we say, snow removal, it's supposed to be removed, not snow piling. That's one of the concerns I have, and it's where you see it all the time, and like we go sliding all the time, and definitely use shoveling, but it shouldn't be like that. But the most concern I have is when they do the snow clearing, they leave the corners. And then, and the other thing too is I know it was done before and people complained about it, and it's where they said, they tried it. And, the night shift doing the main drag during the night, and then daytime do the residential area. But everybody said they're complaining about the beeping and, but it's still, we can't satisfy everybody, but we have to keep our city safe.
Thank you, Anthony.
Yes, under the current clearing policy, the priorities are laid out by council, so it is really to clear that snow as quick as possible off of the driving surface, which results in those snowbanks. Then what the departments do is in certain areas of the community, they will go cut and haul, depending if the snow isn't coming back down again, and they will haul some of that away. That doesn't typically happen in the residential areas. I don't believe it's more in the commercial areas that is done. Now, council wanted us to haul all snowbanks. We would have to cost that out and bring it back to you on what that would require for equipment and for staffing. Currently, that is not something that we budget for. We budget for the clearing policy that we currently have. So that's something if council wants us to look into that, we'd calculate that and bring that back. But right now, it's really about those commercial downtown areas. But the priority is always to hit those number ones, the number twos, then to the threes, and usually by around 2 or 3, we start hauling. Just let the director fill in when the haul starts.
Yeah, the hauling starts, basically a staff is available if we're getting into a priority freeze, it usually can freeze up some individuals to go with tandems in order to start hauling on the corners, but I mean, same thing, it's 2 tandems and 1 loader hauling from every corner in the city, so it takes a lot of time to get through them all, and then by that time, we're gonna have another snow event, and back to snow.
Just like, going back to that, it's where like, not the residential area for the corners and that, but like mostly it's the city, like, I mean, yeah, the Thompson Drive and that, you know, because, even, just so that we see that, when you come out, but like with the residential area, that can, done by the owner's driveway, but still it's where on the main Thompson Drive, and I would say like if it snows, then I would push it over or something, take the dump and, you know, but it's not till it piles up on that. Just a suggestion, but it's a safety issue, it's a safety concern. And it's where you have to inch out and that till you're practically hit on the main drive. Okay.
So that's something that we could discuss internally. We'll have a discussion amongst our staff on, we could bring that back to council to discuss as part of the budget. So if there's things that you'd like to change like that, we'd have to tell you this is what the time would be, what it would cost and whatnot, and it would be council's decision if you would like to make a change like that or not.
I guess one of my questions, with reading the policy was basically the second paragraph of the policy, which says that during the cleanup every 4 to 5 working days, we're going to get it done. So this policy was last updated in 2020. So subsequently, we've had cuts in the budget and that. So I'm wondering, have we still got the same level of equipment and personnel and equipment operators, et cetera, to do this work, or is it something we should be looking at?
I believe a 4 to 5 working day period, after one snow event, depending on the snow event, obviously, I mean, if it's a 50 or 60 centimeter snow event, that's a different story, but, a snow event, 4 to 5 working day period should be sufficient for us. Other factors that, hinder our snow clearing, the same people who are snow clearing, the same people who dig our water breaks. So operators are pulled from different, pieces of equipment to do other jobs as well throughout the city, so. But I believe a 4 to 5 day working day period is sufficient for us.
Thank you. Anyone else? Councilor Wong?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I think somehow this policy is all right, but need to modify some of them. When you look at the priority 1, I would strongly suggest Thompson Drive, Free Road, and downtown all should be priority 1, and also put a time there during what time to what time you do that kind of street. Because if you're doing during the day, it's so congested, it causes a lot of unnecessary safety also. Because when the operator have to back up, there's a vehicle coming, it's very, very dangerous. Sometimes they cannot see it. So I would strongly suggest those kind of areas should be doing during the night from 10 to 6. So you have no other traffic, like minimum traffic is more efficient. And I would like to take out Princeton Drive and Westwood Drive because those are residential. I don't know why it's there. And General Hospital, I don't think we even do that. They privatized that job. So why it's still there? I don't know. Have we ever go there and clean the parking lot? I don't know. I don't think so. Does that mean just the roads? Oh, but that's considered Thompson Drive though, right?
It's just the access. So if there's a windrow in front of their park lot, just to allow ambulances or emergency.
Then also the access point, because of you guys clean up the windrow, create the mountain there. That's one of the reasons. So somehow I think that could be done. And also I look at this, I think some of the changes, especially when you look at the map, the priority 2 or 1, sometimes I don't understand why the priority two, they're not complete the whole section. For instance, Station Road is priority two, but they go down to the junction where you turn off to T3. They stop there and turn around, come back all the way to the Eastwood and just come back. To me, Gay Street and Crane, they're all priority two. They should complete the whole route. So instead of coming back and go there some other time, so it's also considered time consuming and efficiency. So I think the practical got to be more into the practical part instead of the policy, just a guideline, what to do. I think practical is more important to understand how to do that, especially when you go to the priority 3 or 4. Sometimes they just go there to do one street, not the whole section, that also need to be changed. So how to change it? We have to look into it. I don't think tonight in this small little time, we can discuss all that. So I would suggest, even though before that, I already talked to the city manager, we should have a private meeting with the operator and have their input. Because none of us sitting here, except myself, can move snow. So it's very hard for them to think about what is practical, what is not practical. So I like to have those conversations with the operator rather than just make a policy, probably sometimes it's not practical. Anyway, thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Neil, did you have any comments?
Not much.
Okay, next, Councilor Colburn.
Thank you, Mayor. My question and concern is priority 1 is okay, priority 2 is okay. Now, when you're in work with them and then it comes back, you get another snowfall. You go right back to priority 1, bro. You never get back to priority 3 and 4. Like I run into that problem every day because my working partner there from the hotel, he lives on Fox Bay. I've been going there for the last 4 months and it's only been clean once. So that's my problem with the policy, is that you don't get policy 3 done. If you don't do it in succession, when it comes to policy 3, you'll, and there's snows, you go back to policy 1 right away. Right? And these streets get forgot. I know the last year I was at the hotel, I think the street got cleaned 2 times. The matter of fact, we were laughing, I worked there. The street was higher than the sidewalk because we weren't in the right priorities. Right? But that's what I say. My concern is, I got no problem with the policy of this net, but when you get out there, you do policy 1, policy 2, you gotta carry on through the policies instead of jumping back to policy 1, right? I understand it's the main routes, but well, you know, like I say, the streets don't get cleaned. And that's not right.
Thank you. Anthony?
The director can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe the policy requires us to do that. So if council would like us to do it a different approach, that's what part of the discussion would be. Is I believe right now it says if there's another snowfall of X amount or however it works, you then must go back to priority 1s. So if that's something council would like to have a different look at on continuing through, then we would have to bring that back.
Then you know, sir.
Yeah,
I got one more question.
speech I've forgotten about, but yeah, if there is a snow event in the policy, if there's no event 10 centimeters or more, or gets been clean, we start right back at priority 1s as per policy. That's what we follow. That's why it happens. Council will discuss and change that, where we just continue on regardless of snow events or increase the amount of snow events. I mean, for discussion.
How many crews you got? I think you should put a crew on priority 1, priority 2, and if you gotta come back to priority 1, you put one on 1, and then you go back. The one is on priority 2 and go to priority 3. That way the all our streets gets cleared. Right? It's not fair, you know, if it snows all winter, you're into snowfall every second week. These streets don't get clean. That's a problem for a lot of people.
So the admin team can figure out how to staff it. The council has to tell us what they'd like to see cleared. So once you tell us, we have a policy that tells us this is what you want done now. That's how we staff to meet those needs. If you want it done a different way, then we can figure out and bring back how would we run staff in different scenarios to make that happen? And if there's an increase to cost or decrease or no change in cost. So it's really council telling us through your policy, this is what we'd like to see. We'd like to see priority 1s. If you say priority 1s and 2s at the same time, then it's really all priority 1. if you're saying we want priority one and then within 24 hours, start priority two, we can bring back all those scenarios for you. So it's really council, have a review of the policy, tell us where your issues are, changes to maps and whatnot, and we'll bring that back to you that you can then decide how you want to do it.
Thank you. Neil, did you have a comment? Councillor Chong?
My question is, what will be our expectation? Like you said, priority one, you take all day priority one, or take 2 day, or you can achieve priority one and some of the priority two. So what will be the timeline?
It depends on the snowbank. Council Drive can take anywhere from hours to do. So then if you're the process for to do the downtown area, we graded haul it all at the same time. That's at least 16 hours right there just to do that. So, and that's 3 days gone and only 22 parts of your priority ones are completed. So it all depends on the snow event that we receive and also other work that is outstanding for us. I need water breaks, garbage, recycling, collection, anything else that needs to be done that our crews are pulled aside for to do also.
So now you cannot concentrate and get the snow done. Have to distribute the manpower in the different rate.
Absolutely.
Councillor Lambert?
I know with this policy in the last few years, I thought that we had a pretty good job done this whole time. I understand that when you do policy one, then you move on to policy two, we don't get through policy two streets, that when you're done, you have to restart, do policy one again, and then for priority one. Then you start where you ended part two or one or three, I guess. And that's with the equipment and the manpower that we have, or the people power that we have to do this. I thought you guys have done all right. I was just looking at the map, and I know we've got to look at a new map, add some streets. And some of our priority one streets are that way to make sure that our ambulance get as close to those arteries as we can, or the capillaries on the part. And so that we can get our children to school in the safest way possible. I just noticed the other day that the section in Weir Road that has a school on it isn't a priority one. It's the only thing that I wanted to add to the map. And of course, Councillor Fitzpatrick Street. I don't know the other priorities that we have to change on that. I just thought I'd add that to it. Thank you.
Okay. We'll go to Councillor Oberdorfer, if you want to have a comment.
First, I just want to say that I have noticed a huge difference in the snow clearing in the last couple of years, and my husband makes lots of compliments about the improvements that he's seen, and he is someone who notices a lot of those things, so. Very particular, so I just wanted to say good job. I mean, there's clearly some different improvements that have happened since this policy has changed, and it's been noticed in the community, so that's great. I'm sure this has been visited before, but I just wanted to ask if there's ever been consideration or why we don't look at removing the snow as we're clearing it, instead of coming back and clearing it or removing it later.
Yep.
That would fall under staffing. That's what I mean. If you don't have the staff to give a discussion.
So if that's something that you'd like to run a scenario on, we could always run a scenario and bring it to you as part of budget on what it would take for temporary staffing to do that or permanent staffing. I believe in the past, there used to be casual people for sometimes on snow removal. That is no longer part of the budget, but if that's something council wants us to look at, bringing casuals when there's a really heavy snowfall or whatnot, we would have to look at what that looks like. We'd have to run those numbers.
Sandra?
Just a follow-up question, so it's not something that we've costed out before to determine if it's more feasible for us to be removing it while we're clearing snow?
I don't believe so, but we'll look at.
It's been discussed in the past, absolutely, at active times, it was not needed for us. You know, absolutely. Been under the discussion.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Wong?
Yeah, I'd just like to have the number of the equipment that was snow clearing that the city owned. Can you give us what we have? Grader, loader and snow blower, whatever, so at least we can look at the number of equipment we have. And then the number of operators. Do we need more or do we not? Or we have more than what we need or that kind of a scenario? Can you please give us that number?
Sure.
Yeah, we could put all that together and bring it as part of the budget. There's something we can show you. So that you can have your consideration if you want to increase any of that, if you're happy with it, or if we should be changing our equipment setups or what we have.
Councillor Brown, or Deputy Mayor Valentino?
Thanks, President. I just had two quick questions. One, do we have enough snow yet for the Eastwood sliding hill that we had talked about?
Almost.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And second was, I'm hoping that we're communicating lots with the public about where we're snow clearing, what priorities we're on. We were on a real roll the last couple of years on the communication on that, so I hope we can continue to do that. Thanks.
Yeah, that was definitely appreciated by the public, giving them updates on where you're going to be tomorrow, as to what you've done yesterday, just to keep them up. It's definitely was helpful. Councillor Colville?
Quick question. Our snow blower, do it work?
Waiting on part, yeah.
Waiting on parts. See, yours comes back to the council over. We've got that thing in operation. Instead of the graders pushing to the side, they can push to the center. And the blower can go behind and pull out into the trucks. And there's no snow carrying away, no piling up, correct?
And we have to stop the trucks by bracket.
That's, you know, that's simple. This way you would do it, because you're getting it all done. You only got one loader. You don't need loaders for your driveways and that. Because now you're plowing the snow in the center. The grader comes along, the loader, snow blower comes along, and just blows it right into the trucks. I think that's the way we should go.
Yeah, we need the capacity of the trucks also to make sure we have enough, so
Yeah.
maybe a scenario they could bring forward. Anthony?
I was just gonna say, if that's a scenario you'd like us to run, we can run that scenario and bring it forward to your budget.
Anyone else? Thank you, I appreciate all the input with this question. And we'll send it back to administration. Yes, Anthony?
So is this something that council would like us to bring back again? Like there's been a few there that we have to work on, so we'll have to bring it back to future meetings. Some of those would be bringing to budget, but others, I'm assuming you want the policy brought back. So we'll work on it and bring the policy back to a future meeting.
Yes.
Okay, everybody's good with that, show of hands. Thank you. And next we'll move on to development 9.1, the memo from the Director of Development and Technical Services in regards to government air land lease agreement for lot 2 plan 5094 PLTO.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This is an annual item. So Government Air has occupied the property and held the land lease since the seventies. We had a multi-year lease with them that expired in 2015. Since that point, essentially the government has requested 1-year additions to their contract, to their land lease going forward. So basically, we've received the request from the Real Estate Contract Services Asset Management Department of the government to extend their lease for 1 year pursuant to the current lease agreement. The 1-year lease would be from October 1st till September 30th, and it is at the current maximum lease rate of $5,036. So basically asking for administration to, the administration is asking council to approve this and move it forward to next week's council meeting for vote approval by resolution.
Anthony?
just to note for council, this is a piece of property that last year in the previous council was discussed. Government Air, I believe, is still doing environmental studies on it to do a cleanup and then eventually to cancel the lease. But in the meantime, they continue wanting to pay the city properly for the lease that they have until their environmental work is done.
Thank you. Yeah, just looking back on their history since I've been on council from 2014 to 2018, it was talk of decommissioning that site. And that's where it started with the 1-year lease. In 2019 is when they told us they were actually going to remove the buildings and that there. 2020, there was a roof on one of the buildings with snow load or was damaged, which they started to do sort of a repair last year, but it's definitely wasn't done. It's in rough shape. And then 2022, there was numerous break-ins to that main building. And while it was boarded up, certainly it's definitely still safety issues on that corner, the way they have boarded it. And that they had sort of promised last year, those spills weren't going to be cleaned up and they didn't happen. So this keeps pushing. I will definitely support that we get their $5,000 from them for this year. But I think we have to put the content in the letter that, you know, any other agency would have to clean up those spills ASAP. So thank you.
Yeah, full site remediation is part of the lease, so before they are able to cancel or close the lease, the property has to be cleaned up to standards. So the work last year consisted of they removed the crane, they cut the power to the site, and all of the core that was stored on the site, the majority of it, I don't have a percentage, the majority of it I was told, has been moved off of that property onto another government property in town. So they are slowly getting rid of the stuff. I don't know what their plan is for this year. They are working through that with budgets now, but I was told they are looking to do something there this summer with regards to remediation.
Thank you. Anyone else? Comments?
So with the committee's consensus, we'll bring this for a resolution next week for approval of the renewal of the lease.
By a show of hands, does anyone support that? Carried. 9.2 is a memo from the Director of Development and Technical Services in regards to requesting Manitoba Water Services Board to provide project management services for the water treatment generator. Wow.
So I bring this request forward again with Public Works. So just some background in 2022, Manitoba Water Services Board requested applications for capital for a 5-year period from 2024 to 2023 to 2028. These requests are reviewed and if approved, funding is at 50% of the project cost is provided and covered by Manitoba Water Services Board. We submitted 4 requests last year, including this one, for the design, supply, installation, and training for a diesel powered backup generator treatment plant. Currently, the plant does not have any electrical backup generator. There are diesel generators there, but it's solely for the water pumps, to maintain water pressure in the city, not to run the electrical systems, the SCADA program, et cetera, for the plant. So we received a response from Manitoba Water Services Board, it's attached, indicating that the request has been approved and that Manitoba Water Services Board will cover $350,000 of the proposed $700,000 project. They will also provide full project management services, including retaining a consultant to complete the design, tendering, contract administration, and paying all project costs. Invoices will be sent to the city for payment. It's similar to every other Manitoba Water Services Board project, the ISEC work, et cetera. To proceed, essentially, Manitoba Water Services Board requires a resolution requesting the technical and financial assistance for the project. A financial impact perspective, previous council has already approved spending $400,000 for this project on the utility fund. This would cover the $350,000 we require to match and give us a little bit of contingency room. So again, the request is for council to review this tonight and bring forward at committee the council meeting next week for approval and resolution.
Thank you. Councilor Wong?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We are talking about water treatment plant generator, right?
Water treatment plant generator, correct?
Is it a typo here? Because the third paragraph, you say wastewater treatment plant, $700,000 total cost of submit.
It's a typo.
It's a typo. It
Okay,
is the water treatment plant. Sorry, I see it now. Yes. That is a typo. It is
Okay,
the water.
just to make sure
treatment
that we are talking the same thing right
Yes.
now.
plant. Yeah,
All right.
apologies, that is a typo. It is the water treatment plant.
Good enough. I don't think I have any problem because this is needed, I believe. So to able to, when it's the water, when the power short, so we still can able to make water. Now we just have, we can send water, but we cannot make water. So this generator will let us to fully function.
It
Or
allows-
whatever the volume is.
And right now, I don't clear it said, if right now, if they lose power, it takes a while for the plant to come back to steady, depending on the duration of power outage. With this generator, you'll immediately click over backup power and it'll be able to run scheduled.
But even though, sorry, but even though right now the diesel generator is only for the pump,
Only for pumping.
it's
water.
not for making the water.
It's only for the pumping. water.
Just I want to make sure that people understand why we're doing this. This is for the whole plant, so it could be functional, even though there's the shortage of power. All right, appreciate that. Thank you.
Just to clarify, Councillor, yes, they're not even diesel generators, it's diesel pumps.
Diesel.
Yeah, diesel
Diesel
pump,
powered
that's
pumps
right.
only. All we're doing is drawing down the reservoir, hoping that Manitoba Hydro can reestablish power. With this new system, yeah, we'll be able to run all the computer systems and keep making water while we're pumping.
But even, can I just continue? But even though it's not to say we have no faith with the hydro, but the hydro is pretty good. We don't have a shortage more than 24 hours in Thompson, because we have a big yard right here, all the equipment they need is here, but it's just for the, what you call, peace of mind.
That, and as the director said, and the Public Works can confirm, that under the current upsets, that if we lose that power, it can take between 12, 16 hours for the operator to get the plant up and running stable again. So by having this electrical backup, we're not gonna have all those overtime costs. We're not gonna have those operators not sleeping for a day or two, making sure that the plant's back up and running. It'll be automatic transfer and things should just swim along normally, so.
It could also avoid if that water's down for a certain amount of time, then we'd be into boil water advisories and the whole 9 yards, so this could prevent that now. Deputy Mayor Bounty.
Thanks, Mayor Smook. Thanks, Lyle. So I think water treatment plant is on the list for tours for council, so you'll clearly be able to see exactly, you'll be able to see what this will do and how it's a need. I think this is great that you were awarded this. So you submitted 4 projects, so that, does this mean this is the one and that's it? Or is there a chance that you'll get any of the others, or what did they identify? Did they
The way
say?
the way the water service board works is you submit the projects every year. So the ones that aren't awarded, you resubmit.
Okay.
We're gonna forward it.
Okay, good. No, thanks. I'll just bring this.
Councillor Song.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd like to know how many horsepower this diesel engine driving a generator and how many kilowatt it can produce? And do we need a separate building for installing this generator?
I don't believe we have any specs on that. That's the whole point of this project, is that the Water Services Board will have a study done of the water plant based on the info we have. They will then spec it out and design it for. So right now, we base the cost on what it costs to put in a generator, I believe, at the wastewater plant, which is probably how the typo happened. That's the dollar value that we use to go to the Water Services Board, but they're gonna hire the engineers to tell us exactly what you're asking. And then we can show that to council before we go to a tender to actually buy and install that.
So the cost can be higher if you need a separate building to house this diesel engine and a generator. Right?
Potentially, it could be higher, it could be lower, so. The one that's at the wastewater plant, I believe, is outside, right? It's an enclosure, a winterized enclosure, but it's outside the building.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, anything else from Lyle or Anthony on that? Okay. Councillor Oberdorf.
I just wanted a clarification, so they're providing us $350,000 plus the project management services, right? So that's out of the 350,000, or providing that in addition to the grant or whatever we're calling it that they're providing.
That question I don't really answer to. I'll have to talk to the market. I haven't dealt with one project like this before.
So we'll have to clarify. I believe it does come out of it. I believe it comes out of the total amount for the project. But I believe they have a maximum amount that they charge towards a project, so. We can have that clarified by the next, by the council meeting.
Anthony and Rao, you've got all your information you need?
Yep, so the request is that we bring this forward as a resolution to approve entering into an agreement with the Water Services Board and to accept this money to move this project forward. So we'd like to bring that at the next committee or next council meeting.
Okay, can we, answer Councilor Oberdorfer's question part? Or by that?
We'll
We
try.
could, if you want to wait for the answer before bringing it, then it'll just be a delay of 3 weeks. If you'd like us to bring the. We can bring it to the next meeting before you.
By show of hands, who, what, Sandra, what would you?
Just to clarify, I was just more concerned about whether the cost was going to be. Whether the $350,000 that they were giving us was going to go 100% towards capital. Or if the project management fees were gonna come out of that, and if that meant additional cost to us. If that's not going to be a concern, then I have no issue. It was more just. Wanting clarification to ensure we were. Yeah, not going above what was previously approved, I guess, right?
Yeah, if you'd like that answer before bringing it, then we'll bring it to the committee of the whole. So that'll be in 2 weeks from now, and then if council satisfied at that point, sorry, 3 weeks. If council satisfied at that point, then it'll go to the next committee or council meeting after that.
Is there any timeline issues on?
There were no timelines that no timeline issues that I was told of. What it might do is just going construction, that's all.
Okay, so we'll get the additional information for next committee of the whole and then move it forward after that. That fine with everybody?
Yeah.
Yes. Sounds good, thank you. Next is legislative. 10.1 is a letter from Minister of Municipal Relations in regards to COVID transit funding. Anthony.
Yeah, I'm just catching up for the task in the last piece. This is just a letter from Minister Clark. In December, they reached out to all the cities that have transit across the province. They asked us for our ridership numbers as well as any losses that our transit had experienced due to COVID. Upon my review, I could not identify any losses that were expressly related to COVID. So I reported that to the minister, but we also provided the ridership numbers. So the minister is advising that we're not going to be receiving any additional funds from the federal government or from them because of COVID losses. They have indicated that we will be receiving additional funds in the near future because of our high ridership on transit. So that'll come forth in the coming months. So it's a mixed message that, or not a mixed bag that, yes, we didn't get additional dollars, but we will be getting other dollars from a different pot in the coming months.
Any comments, questions? Councilor Colbert.
Just a comment here. The feds are putting up 20 million, province putting up 13 million. We're getting 11,000. Don't seem right to me.
Yeah, well, some of those dollars were, like I said, towards losses. The majority of those losses would be going to the city of Winnipeg. The city of Winnipeg probably takes 90 to 95% of the federal and provincial dollars that go towards transit. I believe otherwise it's really the city of Flin Flon, Selkirk, Steinbach, and a few other municipalities our size that get other base funding from the province. So we would receive other base funding from the province, but this would be a top up of 11,000. Then, like I said, we're expecting more money to come in the coming months based on our ridership. When that letter arrives, then I'll bring that to council.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, well, it's sort of a good news story and indirectly. Move on to 10.2 is a letter from Dr. Carrie Hudson-Recto advising the reduction of veterinary services in Thompson. Administration.
Yep, so this is a letter that's received by our local veterinarian who's having issues with running the facility due to lack of staffing, and also that the person, Dr. Recto, does not live here permanently. And it's a request for assistance from the community on how to address some of these issues. And a note that if there is no assistance forthcoming, that she might have to close her practice or sell it off and find someone else to operate this. The mayor and I have had meetings with Dr. Rechtel in the summertime where it was noted that a number of staff were available from other countries, but required assistance on immigration to get them into the city of Thompson. So the mayor and I reached out to Minister Reyes's staff, who's the Minister of Immigration at the province, asked for any staffing required from the veterinary service that are foreign veterinarians or registered or vet techs that could be registered in Manitoba to be fast tracked. The minister's office has agreed to that. So if any names are put forward, those people could be fast tracked, especially if they're part of the Canada, US, Mexico trade agreement. They could be brought very quickly. Any others from other countries would then have to be fast tracked in the minister's office, but they're waiting for names to be submitted to them. And really, this is a letter for council to have some discussions, as this is an issue of interest to the community.
Thank you. Any comments? Councilor Wong?
Well, since Anthony, you already addressed that you've been doing the helping to get the minister involved and also have the agreement to fast track to get the approval. So what is the actual issue now?
The city's role in terms of getting staff here would be to work with the province to fast track any of those. The city can't actually engage or hire any of the people, but we can facilitate getting any workers here that are needed. So that's something that we're able to do. And as soon as we have names or names are put forward, we can vet those through with the province.
So my question is, did Dr. Carey know about like to do that step?
Yes, we've been in correspondence several times with the doctor, letting her know that once those names are put forward, the ministry is waiting to fast track those names.
Okay. So because based on the legal letter is a concern, it looks like we found a solution now, right? So it's just a matter of she willing to put up the application to get things rolling. That's how I interpreted that.
With the last comments in the meetings Anthony and I had with her, the ball is now in her court to put up forward those applications. And if there's any issues at all, the ministers have agreed with us and the staff with Anthony that we'll do our best to get things worked out.
So somehow we have some things to.
But we can't do anything as a city without.
On our part.
Yes,
Okay,
we've done what we can right to this point.
okay, appreciate it. Thank you.
Anyone else? Seeing no more comments, like I said, Anthony,
I will note that we've also had discussions with Community Futures North Central Development, as well as the Community Economic Development Fund. There are opportunities for individuals or entities within the city, if they would like to step forward and deal with the doctor on possibly purchasing any parts of the practice. There are ways that we can work through local partners that are able to lend through the economic development lens. So there are partners in the community that are able to do some of that lending. They're ready here in the community to assist.
Councilor Robert.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Do we know if the chamber has been approached at all or any other groups in terms of the struggles, I guess, that the clinic is currently having?
I am not privy to any discussions held with the chamber. The chamber has been involved with the city on discussions with Minister Reyes's office on the immigration program.
And persons that I have reached out to have not been reached out to or talked to on this business. All right, no more discussion. Seeing that, it's for information and please feel free to reach out. With that, we will go for adjournment. Councilor Coburn, Councilor Wong, all in favor? Meeting.
Yeah.